Folks, if you can hear me, go ahead, drop a 1 in the chat box. If you can hear me, this is going to be a chat box active, very verbally active session here. If you can hear me, please drop a 1 into the chat box. Timothy is in, Dr. Jamie Mendoza. Shout out to you. Good to see you. Sid is in, Sean is in, Michael Douglas. Isaac is with us, as well as Daryl and the rest. So we are going to go ahead and jump in, folks. And just to get a better feel of who's in the room today, please drop in your city and state, or maybe country. I'm in Quito. I'm down in Ecuador. Yes, that business travel lifestyle. Where do we got folks coming in from today? City and state into the chat box. Let's see where folks. We got Los Angeles, spent about 6 years down there. Got my master's. Nashville, Miami. ATX, help me out. Brooklyn, NYC, Fort Collins, Castro Valley, shout out. I'm from Oakland and Alameda. Sacramento, Sid, good to see it. Rayleigh as well. All right, folks. So we're going to go ahead and jump in. Got a limited time here. So let's, Daryl, shout out, Oakland. Let's get through as much as we can here today. Talking about mental health in the workplace. It's a very important topic. I'm going to cover about 4 or 5 sections here today. I'm going to start off with a little bit about my own story, talk about what's going on in corporate mental health today. Who are some of the players that you should know about as far as BIPOC mental health specifically? And that's where I'm going to need your help. And then some actionable solutions is what we're going to get into. If you're ready to get going with this agenda today, go ahead and type in, let's go into the chat box, folks. Type in, let's go into the chat box. If you're ready to get this workshop started, drop in a let's go into the chat box. I know sports hasn't been what it used to, so we got to get it in when and where that we can. Dr. Jamie's ready to go. Timothy's ready to go. OJ is ready to go. Dwayne is ready to go. Sid, Jared, Harold is ready to go as well. So just a little bit about myself. I'm biracial, mixed with black and white. I'm from Oakland, California, and I actually grew up in a Japanese Buddhist community. I went to UC Santa Barbara, got my undergrad in Black Studies, and that's where I really learned in depth about racism in the United States, anti-Black racism specifically, and how slavery showed up in the United States for hundreds of years. Broke my heart, made me furious, became a student activist, had some success as activists can as students, but I was using definitely some bullying tactics to win campaigns. And I felt bad about being so reactionary to what was going on in society versus really having a vision to create something new. So I actually left activism behind, left the Buddhism behind, studied world religions, spirituality, and ultimately landed in psychotherapy. And the practice was so transformative for me, I decided to dedicate my professional life to it. Went back to school, got my master's in clinical psych, did my 3,000 hours, sat for my LMFT exam, passed on the first try, and shortly thereafter started Black Executive Men, where I help Black men in corporate America find inner peace through one-on-one psychotherapy. I'm the understanding that we can have a pretty open and transparent dialogue here today. So no matter what your background is, if you're open to sharing that you've been to therapy before, please put I have in the chat box. If you have been to therapy before, please put I have in the chat box. Good. I'm seeing the I haves come through. Sean, Isaac, Timothy, the I have, Sid, Ramon, Brent, Selena, Michael, I have. A lot of the Jared has as well. Good. So we have a culture of openness, a culture of transparency, folks that have already have an understanding of what takes place in therapy. So a bit about myself, but we're going to be focusing really on, mental health in the workplace and corporate mental health. I am a mental health nerd, especially when it comes to mental health in business. So I just want you to know some of the major players and what's going on in mental health, corporate mental health right now. There is an absolute explosion as far as entrepreneurship, business creation, and investment in corporate mental health right now. A lot of it has come around through the global pandemic that we've been experiencing, a lot more mental health concerns rising, especially in the workplace. And then, of course, more discussions around race, racism in the workplace as well. So we've seen a rise in third-party players such as Lyra. Some of your companies may be partnered with some of these companies I mentioned, Spring Health, Modern Health, alongside some of the more fully BIPOC-owned companies such as Ayana Health, alongside Hurdle. We got the CEO from Hurdle speaking at this gathering as well. So just want to share that the business landscape around corporate mental health, it's very ripe, alongside some of the traditional offerings from EAP providers. Quiz time. I'm looking for the people, the front of the classroom time. I'm looking for my AA plus student time. Who knows what an EAP stands for? If you do, please drop that into the chat box now. If you know what EAP stands for, please drop that into the chat box now. Boom. Employee up close. There we go. Dr. Jamie got Employee Assistance Program, the Employee Assistance Program. So the EAP at your company is going to offer you free, it's not free to your company, but free to you, a certain amount of sessions, be it for you or for your family members as well. So this is something that you can tap into, but we're going to get to that just a little bit later. But we need to pivot to Black and brown men specifically, because that's what this topic is about. There's certain ways in which we operate culturally and in relationship to masculinity that have to be taken into account to provide effective treatment and at times effective and accurate diagnosis. And that's been a long-standing problem in the mental health industry. So I'm curious for you, though, before we even get to that point, what are some of the mental health stigmas that you've seen, witnessed, or experienced in the Black and brown community? What are some of the stigmas that you've heard, been around, heard, maybe even said, no judgment, around mental health in the Black and brown communities? Please go ahead, drop that into the chat box now. What are some of the stigmas that you've heard around mental health in the Black and brown communities? We need to address these up front in order to effectively deal with them, minimize them, and then go ahead and get help on a larger scale. Okay, so we have Anthony. We don't talk about it. Sean, we don't do that. Dr. Jamie Mendoza puts, we don't do mental health. Okay. Anthony puts, that person's wrong in the head. Michael Taylor, that you're weak. Weakness is a big one, especially this is, we're focusing on men here. So weakness, that definitely comes up a lot. Abdi put, the biggest stigma is not believing mental illness is a thing. Abdi, can you write a little bit more about that? That's a good one. Dr. Jamie Mendoza, mental health is for crazy people. Ramon, I don't need therapy. I'm not crazy. That's one of the biggest stigmas that's holding so many of us back from getting the help that we need from a therapist or coach, from that matter. You don't have to be quote unquote crazy to see a therapist. A therapist can help you improve from wherever you are at in life going forward. We have digital humanitarian mental health in Africa is taboo. So we have all the way to it being full on taboo. Isaac put, what happens in this house should stay in this house. And then Marcus puts, just pray on it. All right. Just one for the just pray on it. So we're getting some of those stigmas out there. Really important to talk about those. We're just about halfway through this talk already. If I can go ahead and continue with the second piece, please put in continue into the chat box. If that's okay for me to continue, please drop in continue. Got some good information for you coming forward. Anthony puts continue. So we are ready to move forward. Okay, and Michael as well, continue. Good. Absolutely, Timothy. We're going to do that, and we're going to move it forward. So mental health in the workplace. But we're going to talk about what are some identifying problems that you or a colleague, friend, family may be having related to mental health. These are what we call red flags. When you see some of this, experience some of this, it could be a good time to think about going to therapy, going back to therapy, recommending therapy. Therapy is not the end all be all, but it's a helpful tool, at least it can be. So some of the things to look out for: experiencing imposter syndrome, okay, really big topic, as though you aren't capable of achieving certain, of completing certain tasks, or that you don't belong, certain level of seniority, let's say. Perhaps you're watching your primary relationships fall apart or a marriage fall apart. It could be a great time to seek out a therapist. Perhaps you are concerned about, or in reality, not living up to your full potential. Just that can create mental health concerns and problems if you're not living up to your potential. A big one that clients come to me with is feeling like an island, feeling like they are alone in life, and that no one can reach them and no one can understand them. If you're having that experience, it can be a great time to reach out for support. And then there's also the formal clinical, having a formal clinical diagnosis, depression, anxiety, things of this nature. So I'm curious to know if anybody, it's a transparent space, authentic space, open space. If you've ever experienced any of what I just named, please put a 1 in the chat box. I'm not asking you to put which one or the intensity, but if you've experienced any of those challenges, please drop a 1 in the chat box. It's a way to let other people know they are not alone. They are not quote unquote crazy. We talk about that a lot, that they are not weird, that they are not unique or different in that fashion, but in fact, it's very normal, especially being Black and brown men in the corporate workspace and environment. Douglas, all the above. Timothy, a 1. Brent, Jean, Dwayne, Raymond, all dropping 1s. Good. However, because this is focused specifically on therapy and mental health and solutions, some of the solutions that therapy ultimately can provide are to help you improve your primary, secondary relationships, to identify and express your emotions in healthy ways, this is a big one, assert healthy boundaries in relationship to work-life balance. Huge, I deal with that with clients. Improve your communication and leadership style. And lastly, to improve your self-esteem and confidence. Very quickly, 2 more things, gonna wrap it up. I know we're right there at time. Some of the reasons why mental health challenges can emerge come from, folks, difficult life situations, a challenging childhood that includes abandonment from a parent or parents, abuse, emotionally, physically, sexually abuse as a child, a messy separation, divorce, feeling excluded socially, like you're just one of the only, can happen a lot in corporate America, I know. Feeling targeted because of your race, color, skin tone, sexual orientation, identity concerns, and also chemical imbalances in the brain, among many other things, can bring out mental health challenges. If you've experienced these, even as a childhood, it could potentially still be impacting your level of performance and success today. But ultimately, and we're going to close here, it comes down to taking action. Action is what's going to get it done. Action is what's going to bring results. Action is what's going to bring health. Action is what's going to bring a change. Action is what's going to improve your confidence. Action is what's going to boost your self-esteem. Action is going to help you make more money, start that business, launch a travel lifestyle, meet the partner of your dreams. Action is what's going to make the difference. So that's where we're going to go right now. And when we talk about therapy, there's a few ways to move into that, if that's going to be part of your action plan. Number 1, it's going to tap into your company's EAP. You can talk to HR about that. It's a resource provided for you there, and you can find a Black or brown if you want male, but just black or brown therapist, possibly through that channel, if they exist in that network. The second one, your company's insurance plan. Don't be afraid to use it. You can find a therapist through that channel. But if you want to, you can go out of network and find a referral from friends on a therapist that they use. These are out-of-pocket providers such as myself, and find an excellent fit that can help transform your life and move you to the next level of success. So, men and everybody here, I'm asking you about action. What is the one action step that you are willing to take to move forward with in the next 2 weeks to help transform your life? Please drop that in the chat box now. I got no judgment. It's whatever you want to do to take your life to the next level related to your mental and emotional health. And we're going to close with that, folks. Please drop into the chat box. What is the one action step that you are willing to take in the next 2 weeks to improve your mental and emotional health? I want to give it a moment, let it breathe, and read off some of what we got. Michael has self-care. Michael, more specifically, what is the concrete action you're going to take on self-care? And let's let these roll in, and then we're going to turn it back over. Man, I'm curious. What is the one action step you are willing to take in the next 2 weeks to improve your mental and emotional? Marcus puts journal. Very good. Daily meditation. Concrete. Find a new therapist. Get a new therapist. We got the +1 to some of the activity above. Man, I'm curious. Going to give it 10 more seconds. What is the one action step? Sign up for therapy again. Connect with Icon members. I love that. Healing in the group. Support and empowerment from the group. Meditation, 15 minutes. Schedule my next therapy session. Harold says nightly meditation. 8 hours of sleep, +1, +1. Digital detox, being able to step away. Fantastic, man. I want to thank you for your time and attention and your willingness to take action to improve your lives. But I truly believe that improving your own lives, it can help improve the next generation as well. Let's go ahead and turn this back over. I appreciate you all. You can find me at blackexecutivemen.com. Take care.
Joe, appreciate you. Thank you.